Can a YouTuber really take down one of boxing's most feared heavyweights? That's the question everyone's asking as Jake Paul sets his sights on Anthony Joshua. It's the kind of matchup that seems impossible on paper, a brash social media star with a handful of pro rounds versus an Olympic gold medalist with knockout power. And yet, here we are, staring down one of the most shocking fights in recent memory. But for Paul, this isn't just about money or fame, it's about proving he belongs in the ring with the best, and he's willing to risk it, all to show the world he's not just another influencer chasing clicks. Jake Paul has made it clear, this fight is personal. In his own words, he's not thinking about belts or titles, he's focused entirely on Joshua. He keeps the small token belts plastered around his room, not as trophies to obsess over, but as reminders of the ultimate goal. The goal is Anthony Joshua. Every decision, every punch, every drop of sweat in training is geared toward one man. The obsession isn't flashy, it's methodical. And while fans see bold predictions and social media bravado, what's happening behind the scenes is far more calculated than anyone realizes. But confidence alone won't make up for the mountain Paul is attempting to climb. The tension was palpable the first time Paul and Joshua met in person. The stories are already legendary. No smiles, no jokes, just two fighters sizing each other up. Paul tried to maintain his swagger, the same confidence he shows online, but when faced with Joshua's sheer presence, everything shifted. Standing inches apart, Paul's posture wavered. For a split second, his eyes dropped, and fans watching could almost feel the crack in his bravado. Joshua didn't say a word. He didn't threaten, he didn't smirk. He just stared. Calm and tense, the kind of presence only someone who's survived real wars inside the ring can carry. One look, and it was clear, Jake Paul had awakened a giant, and that moment alone set the tone for everything that would follow. Experts and critics have been quick to weigh in. Former heavyweight Dave Allen warned that if Paul even lands a punch, it could tarnish Joshua's hard-earned legacy. Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter, defended the matchup, arguing that money talks and that fighters can't eat legacy. But the question lingers, what happens if this fight goes wrong for Joshua? Could the spectacle of a YouTuber taking punches from a former world champion end up tarnishing a decorated career? Some see it as a gamble too high for a man whose reputation has been carefully built over years of hard work, sweat, and sacrifice. The physical stakes are terrifying. Heavyweight Moses Atama and others have openly questioned whether Paul is truly ready for this challenge. One misjudged punch, one moment of inattention, could have long-term consequences. Anthony Joshua's power isn't just reputation, it's reality. The sheer size difference and elite boxing experience create a high-risk environment for anyone stepping into the ring with him. Paul's unorthodox style and previous victories may give him momentum, but there's no hiding the danger. One slip, one mistake, and the fight could turn from career-defining to career-altering. Every expert weighs in with a mix of admiration for Paul's courage and concern for his safety. Then there's the public perception and the money. Bookmakers have Anthony Joshua as a heavy favorite, with odds around -200 compared to Paul's +600 and 50 to +900. For Joshua, it's almost a guaranteed payday, but the stakes go beyond money. Paul's own claims suggest the fight could be worth a staggering $267 million, a sum that would make this one of the richest matchups in boxing history. Even with all the hype, all the social media buzz, the fight remains about ego, legacy, and the undeniable reality of two men testing their limits inside the squared circle. And while Joshua could walk away with a massive payday, for Paul, a victory would be a career-defining statement, a confirmation that he belongs among boxing's elite, even if only for a night. Jake Paul's approach is as calculated as it is confident. He isn't just swinging blindly. He studied Joshua, looked for weaknesses, and framed his fight strategy around them. He criticizes Joshua's chin, questions his agility, and points to his recent knockout loss to Daniel Dubois as evidence of vulnerability. For Paul, every comment, every prediction, every jab at Joshua's skill is carefully designed to fuel his own fire and keep the audience guessing. This fight is as much psychological as it is physical. It's about proving naysayers wrong, and Paul isn't shy about calling out anyone who doubts his ability to compete at this level. But the stakes go both ways. For Joshua, stepping into this ring isn't just a business decision. It's a moment that could define the final chapters of his career. Critics argue he's past his prime, and a loss, even to someone less experienced, could severely damage his reputation. Former pros like Carl Froch suggest that while Joshua's talent is undeniable, engaging in a spectacle with a social media star risks turning a decorated career into a mere payday exercise. At the same time, Joshua has consistently emphasized his long-term health. He's made it clear that leaving the ring without serious injury is more important than proving anything in a single fight. The fight scale is staggering both financially and culturally. With pay-per-view deals, streaming rights, and massive media attention, it's more than just a bout, it's an event. Joshua brings Olympic pedigree, elite punching power, and a deep well of experience. Paul brings unorthodox style, momentum, and the ability to command the social media spotlight. Analysts suggest it could be one of the first fights in which a fighter genuinely risks serious injury, a scenario neither can afford to ignore. And yet, the hype is undeniable. This is the fight everyone is talking about, the matchup that dominates headlines, and the one that might forever change how the public views crossover boxing. Former undisputed heavyweight Alexander Usyk weighed in, emphasizing the sheer difference in skill and experience. Facing a trained professional like Joshua is a different challenge than any Paul has faced before. While he praised Paul's athleticism and confidence, Usyk was blunt. The odds heavily favor Joshua, and a knockout or late-round stoppage is the most likely outcome. But even with all that, the fight maintains a layer of unpredictability, the what-if factor that keeps fans glued to their screens. Critics like KSI have raised concerns about the spectacle-driven nature of influencer boxing, arguing that hype sometimes overshadows real athletic merit. But Paul remains undeterred. To him, this fight is more than hype. It's an opportunity to silence doubters, to show the boxing world that his previous victories weren't flukes or carefully chosen matchups. Every punch he's thrown, every round he survived, has been preparation for a moment like this. And he's made it clear, when he steps into the ring with Joshua, he's aiming to make history. The narrative isn't just about skill, it's about psychology, confidence, and momentum. Paul frames this fight as his ultimate test, the one that could cement his place in boxing history. He talks about walking into the lion's den, challenging one of the sport's most recognized figures, and proving that his victories are more than spectacle. Every prediction, every critique, every ounce of doubt is fuel for Paul's fire. And as he reminds the world, the belts, the accolades, the critics, they don't define him. His performance in the ring does. Joshua's perspective is equally compelling. He's faced giants before, men with ferocious power, and emerged victorious. But this is different. This is about legacy, health, and navigating a fight that mixes spectacle with high stakes. One slip, one underestimate, and the narrative could shift. Former champs, coaches, and analysts alike have pointed out that while Joshua has the tools to dominate, the unpredictability of a brash, younger, and highly motivated opponent adds layers of danger. The physical challenge is immense, but the psychological game is just as critical. The hype around this fight is unmatched. Jake Paul has repeatedly emphasized the rarity of this opportunity, a chance to fight a legitimate world champion, to prove critics wrong and to claim a victory that would echo far beyond the ring. He's focused on his strategy, his mental preparation, and his timing, framing the fight as not just a spectacle, but a test of skill, courage, and determination. And for Joshua, the stakes are just as high, a chance to reaffirm his dominance, a payday that's too large to ignore, and the need to protect a legacy carefully built over years of sweat, blood, and sacrifice. As the fight approaches, the debate rages. Can a YouTuber really pull off the upset? Or is this a mismatch waiting to happen? For Paul, the answer is clear. He sees vulnerabilities, he sees opportunity, and he believes in his ability to rise to the occasion. For Joshua, the approach is different, measured, calculated, aware of the risk, but also confident in his power and experience. Every expert, every former champ, every analyst acknowledges the danger, the spectacle, and the historic nature of this bout. It's more than a fight, it's a cultural phenomenon, a clash of eras, and a test of willpower. The final moments before the bell are where everything counts. Paul has built his confidence, honed his strategy, and embraced the challenge. Joshua has trained for decades for moments like this, relying on experience, precision, and raw power. Fans around the world will witness a clash that blends skill, spectacle, and stakes unlike anything boxing has seen in years. One man could cement his legacy further. The other could redefine what's possible for crossover athletes in professional sports. Every punch, every dodge, every round carries consequence. At the end of the day, this fight isn't just about who wins. It's about courage, strategy, and seizing the moment. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua represents the ultimate high-risk, high-reward scenario, a collision of worlds, egos, and ambitions. Will Paul shock the world and claim an improbable victory, or will Joshua's experience and power prove insurmountable? Whatever happens, one thing is certain. When the bell rings, the debates, hype, and predictions will be settled inside the ring. So, what do you think? Can Jake Paul really pull off the upset against Anthony Joshua, or is this fight a mismatch waiting to happen? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because when December 19th comes, the world will be watching, and only the ring will tell the truth.